Hi everybody, my name is Travis. I'm a senior biologist here at Adventure Aquarium. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of our Q&A sessions. And yesterday we posted on social media some various questions that you guys may have had about sharks. So we're here in Shark Room. You guys may have seen one of our other videos with Eric, our other biologist, who was feeding our sharks above the exhibit. But today we're going to be underwater. I'm just going to answer some of the questions that you guys had posed. But let me just give you an introduction to this exhibit. We have about 10 different species of sharks all together in the aquarium, but here we have about 4 species. So you're going to see our sand tigers, one of our sandbars swimming by here. We also have some nurse sharks in here, as well as our Atlantic blacktip. So I'll start with the first question. I'm going to answer these as best as I can. So the first thing that you guys asked was tell us everything about their teeth. And then what do we do with all the teeth that they lose, and how strong is a shark's bite? So the first part of that question is all about their teeth. So I'll just pick one of our species out. It's going to be our sand tigers. So sand tigers have roughly anywhere from 90 to 100 teeth, about 45 to 50 on the top, 45 to 50 on the bottom. So sand tigers have really cool, unique teeth. I'll actually pull them out here and show them to you. Dropped one there. So I'll walk up to you here. So sand tigers' teeth, they actually have 3 what are called cuspids. So that real sharp pointy one in the middle, that's their primary cuspid, and on the outside they have 2 little tiny ones as well. So that's really advantageous for them because they're really slow swimming. They're not really going to actively hunt after prey. They kind of wait for prey to swim by, and then they chomp down on that. So I think the other part of that question too was how strong is a shark's bite. So if you think of a human, they have about 150 to 160 psi. And so I kind of equate that to say if you're chomping down on a big old steak or something like that, that's when you're really going to be using that bite force. But say like a bull shark, they have about 1600 psi bite force. So that's roughly 10 times more than a human's is. And then all the teeth that they lose, we'll give those away. We have a lot of different behind the scenes programs here at Adventure Aquarium, like our Swim with the Sharks scene program. And a lot of times our guests will get those teeth. So whenever we're diving in here doing maintenance, we're going to be finding a lot of teeth because sharks, their teeth, they get replaced all the time. So they have many rows of teeth, and the reason they get replaced all the time is because their mouths are really the only thing that they have to use to communicate with and eat with. So whenever they're eating food and bite down, they're going to be losing some of those teeth. And the reason that is too is because they actually don't have roots in there. Like a human's teeth, they have roots in there. So that's what keeps our teeth held into our gums, but sharks, they don't have that, so that's why they fall out all the time. Let's see, number 2. How do sharks see and do they blink? So I'll start with the first part of that question. The sharks, they see just like you and I do with our eyes. Their vision isn't the greatest underwater, so they have something really cool to kind of help them see. It's called the ampullae of Lorenzini. It's these really small pores, typically on the front of their face, or rostrum we call them. And what those do is they pick up electrical impulses in the water, so it kind of gives them a better view of where fish and different prey are at. And do they blink? Yes, they do blink, but they have a really cool, what's called a nictitating membrane, which kind of blinks from the side, versus humans, we blink up and down. And let's see, what kind of enrichment activities do you do for the sharks? So sharks, we're going to feed them from different feeding stations, like our sand tigers. They're going to feed over here on this side of the tunnel, and then on the other side, if you watch that shark feeding video with Eric in it, our sandbars are going to feed over there. So that's one form of enrichment for them. But here at the aquarium, what we try to do is we try to mimic nature the best way that we can. So like Shark Room, it's a habitat that you're going to see out in the wild. So like you can see this is habitat out off the coast of New Jersey and up and down the East Coast. And what I mean with enrichment is that, or excuse me, what I'm trying to say is with the enrichment part of that is we're going to put these animals in social groupings that they're going to be found in the wild. Like our sand tigers, you typically see them in groups. Same with sandbars as well. And how are our AAQ baby sharks doing? So in 2018, in October, we had some baby sharks. So last summer, if you got to come to our Shark Summer event, you may have seen them in our separated building. You're not going to see them in here just because they're too small right now to get along with their tank mates, but they're doing great. They've actually, I think it was in February, we actually took measurements, and we call them morphometrics. It's a fancy way of saying giving a shark a physical. So just like you and I, when we go to the doctor, they take our weight, they're going to take our height, So we do that with our baby sharks as well, and they've doubled in size for the most part. So they're doing great, and then hopefully one day, not quite too soon, maybe in a year or two, you might see them in this exhibit with all the other sharks here at the aquarium. Number 5, how do sharks sneak up on their prey since they are so big? They don't really sneak up on their prey. Sharks, they're gonna seek out sick or unhealthy fish, and they kind of help clean our oceans in that way. So they don't really sneak up on them, they just kind of go after a fish that's more vulnerable per se. Most sharks have this really cool body trait called counter shooting. I'm trying to find a shark here. Or sandbars, it's really prevalent on. But if you look up from the water surface, if you're ever diving in the ocean or anything like that, it's really bright because of the light shining down. So a shark on the underside typically has a whiter underside. And then if you're looking down into the ocean, there's really not a whole lot of light, so it gets darker. So on the top of a shark, you're typically gonna see a much darker coloration. So if you see our Atlantic black tip here, he's pretty much white underneath. So if you're looking up as a prey item, he's not gonna be too visible, especially on a bright sunny day. And then our sandbars over here, you can kind of see, the top is a lot darker than the underside. So that's called counter shading. The other thing that they use, I talked about it before, is that ampullated Lorenzini. And the last thing that they really use is called a lateral line. So that lateral line, think of it as like your eardrum. It'll pick up different senses in the water. So like if a fish that's really hurt or something like that is kind of swimming about all crazy, that lateral line will help kind of sense where that prey item is. Let's see, number 6, do sharks have bones? What does their skin feel like? The first part of that question is sharks, they do not have bones per se like humans. So our bones are made out of calcium, they're really hard. Shark's internal skeleton is actually made out of cartilage. So if you were to touch your ears or even your nose, that's what cartilage feels like. So they do not have bones. And what does their skin feel like? Their skin is actually something really cool called dermal denticles, which in translation means skin teeth. So if you were to think of, say, like snake skin or something like that and put it down on a microscopic level, those skin teeth, they overlap each other. So if you're able to touch a shark, go one way down its body, it's gonna be really smooth. And if you go the other way, it's gonna be really rough. It almost feels like sandpaper. And that's really advantageous for them because it makes them super hydrodynamic or really fast in the water. And let's see. Number 7, our last question here, is why do sharks have to keep swimming and do they sleep? The first part of that question is most sharks have to keep swimming because it passes water over their gills. So their gills are just like our human lungs, that's what helps them to breathe. And if they stop swimming, essentially they can't breathe. So that's why they have to keep swimming. Now there are some sharks, like our nurse sharks, that they actually have a muscle that allows them to pump water over their gills in order to breathe. And do they sleep? So you and I, we go to bed at night and we fall asleep, we may dream and stuff like that, we wake up, it takes us a while to get that morning grog out. The sharks, they really don't do that. For the most part, they have active periods of swimming and inactive periods of swimming. So they might be super active looking for prey, and then other times they may just be kind of cruising in the water, especially like our sand tigers in here. And that's their way of resting per se. So they're not actually sleeping like you and I, but it's more of a resting period. And that's, I think, all of our questions. That is all of our questions, got the thumbs up there. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us here again this Tuesday for our Q&A. Tune in on Thursday. We're gonna be talking about our frogs. So if you guys have questions that you'd like to be answered about our frogs, go ahead and post those on our social media. And thanks for joining us.